Hello, my name is Josie. Welcome back to my writing channel. And for the next 2 nights, I am on a little bit of a cozy, rainy winter trip with my family. And since I'm also trying to do a 50,000 words in the month of December writing challenge, I figured I would turn this into a little bit of a writing retreat at the same time. We are currently halfway through this challenge. It is December 16th, and we have to write 1,613 words every single day on average to get to our goal. So I haven't done any writing yet so far today, and it is, I think, close to 7:30 p.m. So I need to get a little bit of a move on. But I've been struggling a little bit about whether or not I should just forge ahead into a new chapter or whether I should take a bit more stock of what I've done the last couple of days, because even though, yeah, I'm trying to progress and keep the momentum going and hit the 50,000, I also want to make sure that I'm writing the first draft in a way that I don't have to do a whole bunch of rewriting and replotting when it comes around to draft two. The issue that I've been running into is that when I was plotting this book, I did a very loose outline where I basically had a sentence or two for what I wanted to have happen in every chapter, and I didn't have a clear idea of exactly what that would entail. So for some chapters, it worked out perfectly. For other chapters, it takes a lot more than a chapter to accomplish what I set out for, so I've had to split stuff up. But what I've found for the last 3 chapters since I really entered the midpoint of this character's journey is that I do not have enough content to fill out a full chapter. So the chapters have been really short. It makes me want to combine some of those chapters together, which would then affect the arc of that chapter, right? Trying to do a beginning, middle, end, rising action, and a little bit of a conclusion for that chapter. So part of me wants to go back and work on that tonight rather than just keep going, because it's just going to bother me that all this is left undone. And then maybe while I'm doing that, it'll spark more ideas, or maybe it might affect future story. Even though this may mean that I'm not going to hit the 1,600 words tonight because it's going to take a little bit of time to just sort through what I've already done, I'm leaning towards that under the assumption that I'll be able to make up for it tomorrow, which may or may not be a bad idea, but it's what I want to do, so I'm going to do it, and we'll see if it works out. I wrote for 2 hours tonight, and I finished one chapter. So I was taking two of my original chapters and combining them into one chapter. So a lot of the work I was doing was not only creating connective tissue between one and the other, but also making sure that both scenes, because they're both chapters are basically one major scene each, which is why they didn't really fill enough space to warrant being their own separate thing. But making sure that both of them reflect the same theme, the same goal. So that way it kind of flows together a lot better. And we have a lot more of the ramp up at the beginning and then trying to solve it in the second chapter. And then when that fails to happen, leading off with the cliffhanger of, okay, in the next chapter, we have now had to change our plan because what we did is just not working. Because this is also one of the midpoint chapters, so it should be very clear in how it's shifting from the first half of Act 2 and what we're dealing with to now we've got to make this choice, we've got to make this pivot, and then it launches us into the second part of Act 2, where the main character has made a new choice, they have a new goal, and the momentum should just carry us straight into Act 3. Is the hope. But even though I was working with a lot of material that was already written, I still got a net of just shy of 1,200 words written tonight, so that was really nice. So that means that I only have to do 400 extra words tomorrow. So, minimum tomorrow would be great to get 2,000 words. It might be a little slow to start though, because I've got one more of these chapters where I'm combining scenes that were previously separate into one. But I mean, I have a lot of time tomorrow, so I'm pretty hopeful that we can get a lot done. And just doing this makes me feel so much more comfortable with moving forward. It's hard for me to make forward progress in the book when I know I'm leaving behind so much uncertain, placeholdery stuff that just doesn't feel good. So when I know and I feel confident about the chapters that came before, even though they're still like draft 1, maybe draft like 1.5 quality. It just feels a lot better in my brain, so it just makes the drafting process a lot easier. But I've stopped for tonight and I'm actually going to do a little bit of reading. I'm currently reading Magpie Murders, which is, of course, as you could probably guess, a murder mystery book. I started it yesterday just a little bit, so we're going to try and make some progress tonight, because I think that reading about an investigation and about a mystery will help me, because the main thorough line of this character's arc is an investigation, and I'm feeling a little bit not discouraged about it, but I just feel really uncertain because my main character is supposed to be good at what she's doing. Like, she's supposed to be an expert. And I feel like I'm trying my best, but she comes across maybe too amateurish. Like, I keep thinking like what would a real investigator be thinking about? What could I possibly be overlooking? If a reader is reading my story, they're like, why isn't she doing XYZ? Why is she wasting her time on all this other stuff? It's so obvious to be doing these other things. So I want to make sure that, one, she's doing them, or because there's like a lot of time gaps between the chapters of like her doing other stuff, and then we get like little hints of it, so that way I'm not wasting the reader's time with like, she goes and investigates this thing, she goes and investigates that thing, she learns about this, she learns about that, and instead just showing kind of like the highlights of like the major findings of what you need to know. So if there's some stuff that she should be doing that I'm not including, I could at least just like put it in a sentence or a paragraph to be like, I tried doing this and it didn't work or something. So I'm hoping that this will make me feel a little bit more confident in that at least. I slept in a little bit more than I expected to this morning. I think it's close to 8:30 now. So we are just going to go straight into writing for the day and maybe do breakfast between some writing sprints. I've actually decided on doing writing sprints this morning. I usually try and stay away from them if I'm going to be doing a lot longer writing sessions, because I feel like they interrupt my flow a little bit. But I think for doing this specifically, like trying to combine all these things, it does take a lot of brain power. And last night, I found myself kind of stopping every 30, 40 minutes, anyways, and just like needing a little bit like of a phone break or something. So I figured that by actually doing like structured, maybe 30-minute sprints, I can limit those breaks to like 5 minutes instead of like 10, 15. So at least for this morning, that's what we're gonna do. I'm hoping to do 2 or 3 of these sprints, and then we'll see if I can finish this last chapter that I need to do the combining with. So yeah, I'm just gonna start writing. So see what I've done, a couple of writing sprints. I have something to talk about. This morning writing has actually gone really well. Also, the chapter I was first tackling was a lot easier than last night's. So I not only finished that, but then now I've moved on to some new scenes. And I had this idea for a conversation between, so there is a little bit like of a romance for this character. So this is like the first time where the romance is really like coming out. So I'm really happy with the conversation they just had, and I'm not quite done. My writing sprint ended, and I really wish I'd woken up earlier, because I got 2 sprints in, one 30 minutes, one 25, just because my attention was waning at the end of the 30 minutes. So I figured I'd go a little shorter for the second one. And I don't really have much time before my family comes back, and we're going to do um, some stuff for the day, which it's a beautiful day. So I'm not too bummed, and I know I'm going to get back to writing later. So I need to have some breakfast and get ready for the day a little bit. I just wish I'd woken up a little bit earlier, because a lot of the writing I've been doing recently has been evening writing, just because I've been making writing my like reward for doing stuff during the day. As well, because if I have stuff on my plate, it's hard to like focus on the writing when I'm like, I have to do all these other things. So I like to do it when like my mind's a little bit more calm. But my writing, I think, is better in the morning. The net writing that I have done this morning is 1,222 words, which with the like just over 400 words I still needed from yesterday, that still puts me at needing like 8 or 900 words today to get back to our daily word count, which I have no doubt I will be able to do this evening or afternoon whenever we can get another break. I'm just sitting down now for my second writing session of the day. We spent quite a bit of time walking around, we played some disc golf, and then I've just had lunch. So I'm ready to get back to this romantic scene. I'm really excited for it. But while we were doing all that walking around, the end of that chapter I was working on this morning, that final like combination of two previous chapters, it just didn't feel good. Like the second part of it, I think I brushed through it because I was so excited to get to the romantic scene that I thought of that I didn't do a good enough job. And so it's kind of nagging at me. And it'd be easy to just like move on, but it is going to bother me if I don't go back to it. So I think the plan is to start by completing the scene I finished off on this morning, and then also to write until I hit the like 800 or 900 more words that I need for the day before I go back and work on it, because I do want to make sure I hit the word count today. And I think tweaking stuff in that scene won't probably add too many more words and may even take away like 100 words. I don't really know. So the goal will be first to hit the word count, and then I don't even know if I'll have time in this writing session to get to that earlier scene, or if I'm going to have to get to it tonight. It's the idea of revisiting it and giving it more time and making the little changes that are bothering me is already making me feel better. So I'm just waiting on some tea to steep. I'm making a big pot, and yeah, we'll get some more writing done. I come to you with the afternoon writing session update from in front of this beautiful fire because I actually spent like 20 minutes trying to figure out how to turn this thing on because there's like a bunch of stuff below, and then I was looking for a switch around the room. But it's been really cozy doing the latter half of this writing session with this fire, and totally worth all of the effort and the Googling to figure it out. It was a pretty good writing session. I think I need to take a break because I'm just feeling a little like mind numb. But I wrote just under 1,400 words, so I've officially reached the word count I need for today and to make up for yesterday. So what that means is when I do my final writing session this evening, I don't have to worry about hitting a word count, and I can go back and work on the scene that's really bothering me. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. I'm also just trying to enjoy the romantic conversation scene that I made, because I think when I get into my head about writing romantic scenes, I get like a little bit embarrassed, and I'm like, oh, is this really good? Is this cringy? But also at the end of the day, like people are cringy in their relationships, and there's always room for editing later. And I'd rather go too bold and like too borderline cringy or weird than have it just be like a boring scene and you not really feel anything. I definitely need a little bit of a break though before I do one final writing session. Hoping I can go for like at least a couple hours right before bed. So my plan is to pull out my mystery book, get a bit more reading in, and just chill out and enjoy being here. And then it'll be dinner, and then before I know it, it will be time to write again. I just completed my evening writing session and I'm feeling pretty tired. It's been a long day, but I went through that second half of the chapter that I was talking about where I feel a lot more solid about it now. Like, I think just going through and making sure that all the details are correct. Like, it's not about the writing having to be good at this stage, but it's nice when the details are right, like when they fit the world. And I know there aren't like plot holes and wrong things littered throughout. And I ended up actually adding another 532 words just from adding some more description and fleshing out specific things, and it's making me doubt whether I should split this chapter up again because it's starting to get like a little bit long. Like I know that fantasy chapters tend to be on the longer side. Whereas when I was writing thrillers, I would always try and keep it at least under 3,000, if not trying to make sure that they were in the low 2,000s. But this one is now up over 4,000, like close to 4,500, which seems a little bit on the long end, but that's a problem for further down the road. The story's there, feels good, and that's what matters. So I'm going to read some more of my book, go to sleep, and then we have to be out kind of early tomorrow. I think checkout is 10 a.m. Hopefully, I do not sleep in again, and part of the reason why I have to go to bed soon. And I want to make sure I can get like at least an hour or so in, because it would be nice to get, I don't know, my 1,600 words for the day, but I can also do it when I get home. But yeah, that'll probably close out this writing retreat, which feels like it's gone by so fast. But we've gotten a lot done, so we'll talk a little bit more tomorrow. Final thoughts once I finished my last writing session. It is now time for our final writing session of the writing retreat. And I didn't sleep in today. In fact, I didn't get very good sleep today. And I woke up kind of early and then just like read my book and went on my phone for a little bit until it felt like a decent time to wake up. I don't know. Like the room is great. The mattress is great. Like there's no reason I should have trouble sleeping. And yet that's what's happening. But that's behind us now because it is time to write. So it is still dark outside, and we're switching gears today because the writing we are doing is also just as dark. So yesterday I got to do some fun romantic scenes, but today it is much grimmer. I don't really want to give you any more details because I don't want to spoil anything, but it'll be fun for its own reasons. So without further ado, let's get to it. I think I'll have about an hour and a half before we have to do final cleanups and head out. And we are now done the writing retreat. Dang, I feel like we just got here and now it is already time to go home. I probably could have written for longer this morning. It's not even 9 yet, but it just felt like a good place to end things because I wrote 850 words, which brings us to 30,000 words for this month's writing challenge, which feels like a pretty big milestone. But also, I finished the chapter I was working on, which has brought up more concerns than it has like feelings of accomplishment because I wrote 1,500 words in this chapter, so it's definitely on the short side, and I don't really know what to do with it. I don't know if I'm missing parts of the scene, as in, like, should it have more description? Should there be more parts to the conversation I'm missing? Should there be another scene in there somehow? Or did I just completely underestimate, how long it would take to write out this plot beat? And maybe I should combine it with the next chapter. But then that doesn't feel like a good idea because it is like its own distinct next thing that I think would end. This one ends off with a little bit of a good cliffhanger that I can then move into that next one. So I don't really want to do that. But then do I really want to have a 1,500, maybe 2,000, if I add stuff word chapter? Like, is that too short? So there's just a lot of doubts and things swirling in my mind. So I figure a long drive home would help me sort through it a little bit. But I want the final sentiment of this writing retreat not to be frustration at this chapter I'm tackling, but rather like the accomplishment, because I wrote whatever 4,000 or 5,000 words over the last couple of days, which isn't a ton. Like I didn't really go above and beyond the daily word counts that I have to keep up with. But I feel like I accomplished a lot more in terms of being able to take my time and go back and revisit scenes that I wasn't fully happy with, because there were so many little spots that were just like nagging me that I wanted to tweak, and I've been wanting to tweak for a while now, and actually being able to have the time to go back and do those things makes me feel just so much more confident with the story in general, and as well like what I'm moving towards. So while my word count for this writing retreat is not in any way spectacular or groundbreaking, the amount of time I was able to invest in my story and time that I enjoyed investing in my story. Because even though I've shown some frustration, especially for this last chapter, it's good frustration. It's exciting to try and piece together all of these ideas I've had to see how the story fits and how to make everything work the way I have it in my head, because I am just still so excited to be able to write this story and to try and tackle such a big project, because even though, I'm past the halfway point for this one character, I still have 2 more characters I need to get to, and there's so much to come. And slowly but surely, it's like I'm an archaeologist, slowly excavating exactly what I wanted for this story after thinking about it for so many years. And I get frustrated, especially with this last chapter where I'm like, why isn't this working? What's wrong? But it's like a good frustration, right? Like that's why people do crosswords and puzzles. Like it's not meant to be easy. It's meant to be a challenge, and that challenge in and of itself is fun. I still have to write another 800 words today, which I'll do when I get home. And then tomorrow will be another 1600 words, 1600 words the following day after that. Just because I'm done this writing retreat does not mean I'm anywhere close to finishing this writing challenge or even finishing this book. So if you've had a good time following along the journey of trying to write this book with me, there's a lot more to come. So I'll see you next week.